Hello everyone and welcome back to Spoonful of Joe. We'll be having some good eats today. If you watch my jollof video, you'll know that today we'll be making some good old Kelewele. So hang on and stay tuned. So the first thing you're going to do is cut up some onion that you're going to add to the blend that's going to go on the little pieces of plantain, which are basically the Kelewele. So again, you already know, like, you just chop up as much onions as you want, okay? So I think I use about two good sized onions, white onions, to make this recipe. So here you go. Here's my nice onions. The next thing you're going to do is use some ginger. You're going to cut up some ginger. I use about 1 root of ginger to do this. And this is also going to be blended together with the onion. So now I'm going to show you the seasoning that I use. This is seasoning that I got from the African store. So it's basically cloves and calabash nutmeg, which has a different pronunciation. And I'm not about to do that on here because I'm not about to butcher that. But yes, I did leave at the bottom what it is called. So you can look for that in your local African food market. So now I'm just going to add the onion and ginger. And now some pepper. Do not forget the pepper, please. That's some scotch bonnet pepper on ya. Just use 1. And now I'm adding the clove and calabash nutmeg that's been soaked in water into the mix. So I'm going to blend this together. So now I'm going to cut up my plantain. So when you're making Kelewele, you really want the pieces to be quite small. So the way I do this is I cut it up into quarters, as you can see. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut up my plantain. So for Kelewele, I guess depending on you, I'm someone, I don't like plantain that's too soft, but you do want it to have enough softness. So not drenched like when you're making like ripe plantain for beans, but just enough so that the seasoning will stick on and you can taste it. So here I go, cutting along the way into my cute little quarters. I actually did really well. Wow, quite surprised. Okay, so now I'm all done cutting up my plantain. I cut 2 plantains and this is what it looks like. Okay, so I blended my seasoning. As you can see, everything is blended out. You can tell it's not completely smooth, but that's fine because you want it to kind of have some texture so that it'll stick on pretty well and not become watery. And I'm just gonna mix this with my plantain in a large bowl. I'm one of those people, like, I have to make sure I get every single like particle out of the blender because, you know, I feel like every part counts. So mix. Now I'm adding some salts. The salt that I have in my house is very like thick, so that's why I only use a little bit. Salt is always to taste. I didn't want to ruin it, so I just use a bit of salt. Perfect, very well coated. And now the next thing we're going to add is some flour. I used half a cup of flour. So this is a 1 cup, like actual cup, but I only filled it up to half. So that's half a cup of white all-purpose flour that I'm gonna use for the kelewele. You don't use too much, but use just enough so that when you are frying it, it will stick together. So kelewele is not supposed to be like 1-1-1 or single or spread apart. It's supposed to have that stickiness, kind of like clumpy together. That's what you're going for here. So use just the right amount. So this would be just the right amount for the amount of plantain that I used. And now we're ready to fry our kelewele. So as always make sure to do a test. My oil is nice and hot and ready to fry my food. The worst thing ever is when you drop something in what you think is hot oil and it is not hot. So there we go. So as you see, when I put that one in, I spread it apart. Don't do that. The second one was correct. The first one was incorrect. You want it to have that clumpiness. You want it to stick together. Do not be stirring it around like it's stew. Just leave it, let it stick together, let them chill in there. So when you're placing the kelewele in the frying pan, you want to make sure that you're not overcrowding it, because otherwise it obviously will not cook properly. And honey, we ain't no rush. It's a pandemic. So it's gonna brown, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like when it's ready to be flipped over. So it has the right amount of browning that I want. Making sure they stick together, making sure they're not falling apart. And remember, the flour is the main key to this. So kelewele is one of those things where you definitely need to watch. Don't say, oh, I'm gonna go and come back. Well, if you go and come back, it's going to burn. Ebeshe. Like, you will cry. So make sure that you're standing very close and watching it very carefully, and also watching the temperature. So this first batch is finished. I'm gonna place it onto the paper towel so that the oil can be soaked up. So the rest of these were not cooked yet, so I left them in, which is fine. Just remember to stay close and keep a good eye on your kelewele so that you are not embarrassed. Okay. So this batch is officially done, and I'm just taking them out of the frying pan. On to the second batch. Here we go. Making sure again that it's staying together. You're throwing them into the frying pan in clumps. Do not separate it. Leave it like this and it will be great. So because I put the right amount of flour, that's why it's able to stick together like that. Which is also why I said when you're blending the seasoning, make sure that it's not watery. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster. This batch is finished. So as you can see, some of the coating is getting stuck to the bottom of the frying pan. So make sure you are taking that out while you put it. Make sure you're taking the coating that's getting stuck to the frying pan out before you're switching them, just so that it doesn't burn your kelewele. And this is my last batch, and just the same process that I did for the other ones. Just gonna let that cook until it browns. And there you have it. My kelewele is finished. Kelewele goes good with like practically anything or even by itself. As you saw in my previous video, I had it with a side of jollof and salad, but you can have it with anything. Let me know how you make your kelewele. Some of the seasonings are optional, but this is how I make my kelewele, and so I hope you enjoy my recipe. Let me know what you want to see next, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Bye!